someone who's never had a strong attachment to the original movie, I guess I'm asking a question that I know is probably like walking into a minefield. But why all the hate for The Crow? Hey, what's up, everybody? Nick here from the Lost River Drive-In, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the discourse regarding The Crow 2024, the movie that's coming out this June that really set the internet ablaze when it was announced that there was going to be a remake of it. Then we got the casting of Bill Skarsgård, and now we've finally gotten a trailer. And it has set the world on fire. Well, at least certain corners of the internet. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, The Crow has never been a movie that I have had this strong attachment to. That's not to say that the original movie isn't good. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's simply just, I know this is a movie that a lot of people have a lot of love and reverence for, and for good reason. Obviously, of course, the first thing you think about and you want to talk about is the tragedy with Brandon Lee. I mean, you just don't see that happen, like, ever. And for that to happen, and then what took place after that, having to finish the film, it's become ingrained in everybody's memory, and it's just like a part of film history that you cannot avoid. Now, obviously, The Crow is a very different kind of comic book movie. It's not your straight-up superhero movie. It's more of a love story. It's a story about love and loss, and at the same time, revenge and setting things right. And I always thought that that was really interesting because as somebody that's not a huge comic book movie fan, although I do like Spider-Man and Batman, I've never really been big into any other superhero or comic book stories. So The Crow was always one that was really interesting because it wasn't necessarily like a lot of what you see. So I was somebody that when they announced a remake, I was like, I don't really care because I've never been in love with the original film. Then they cast Bill Skarsgård, and I was like, okay, I'm listening. I'm definitely listening. Now, it had kind of flown under the radar for me. I had been seeing the updates that it had been filming, and I was like, okay, that thing's happening, whatever. Have no interest in going to see that. And then the first photo came out of Bill Skarsgård as Eric Draven, and it just kind of set the internet ablaze. Everybody was giving their takes and saying it looked terrible. This is not at all in the vein of the original film. This is going to be awful. And I was somebody that was like, although I wasn't in love with the photo at all, I was just like, I mean, are we really going to judge a probably 2-hour movie off of one still? Like, I've never been somebody that has subscribed to that at all. It's just, I think that is completely reactionary and just, it's beneath you. I really do think so, especially if you're somebody that critiques movies, even if it's not for a living, if you do it as a hobby. To just take one image and basically make that what you're basing your entire opinion off of, I just could never do that. I won't traffic in that. So I waited. The trailer came out and I was at work and I was like, I'll watch it, whatever. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm actually kind of hyped for this. Like, I don't know. I'll admit the beginning of the trailer where it is this kind of love story with Draven and the actress FKA Twigs. I don't know who she is, but I'm sure that she's like an artist or something. I don't know. And I'm like, okay, looks kind of corny, not really interested. But then when it kind of ratchets up into, high gear with the murder and then obviously him coming back and seeking revenge, I was like, this looks fun, like super fun. Now, I've got to give a shout out first and foremost to Rupert Sanders, the director, because the movie looks really, really good, at least from what we've seen in the trailers. It looks really pretty. I think that there's going to be a lot of visually appealing shots in this movie. I think there's going to be a lot of eye candy, and that is something that I really gravitate towards. I spoke about this earlier this week on a stream on my buddy's channel. Sometimes if a movie isn't necessarily for me, I like to be able to walk away at least going like, well, that was a delight to watch. Like, it looked really good. The pacing was good. The action was kinetic. And this trailer looks like it's going to deliver on that. Also, I actually quite enjoyed Skarsgård in the trailer. There were a couple moments where I was like, I don't know if this is trailer editing or if this is him like kind of hamming it up a little bit that I wasn't totally sold on, but there was other moments that I actually really enjoyed. And I was like, you know what? This is why you don't take one photo and make that be your entire opinion without seeing anything else, just going, I hated that photo, therefore this movie's going to be trash. No, there was a lot to like in this trailer. Having Post Malone and Ozzy Osbourne's Take What You Want over the trailer was just perfect because I'm a big fan of Post Malone and Ozzy Osbourne, and I've loved that song since it came out. And to kind of put that in here and remix it to work with the trailer and almost make it epic and give it this epic feel, I was like, this is awesome. Like, you really hit on things that speak to me. So the trailer wrapped and I walked away feeling like, yeah, I can't wait to see this movie. And as these days have gone on, I've watched the trailer probably like once a day since. And I've been like, this looks really fun. And I've just seen this just divide online. Now, I want to say for the people that have a serious attachment to the original film, I understand why you are trepidatious of a remake, especially a remake that looks like it's kind of taking liberties to be a little bit different tonally than the original film. I totally get that. To that point, though, I would say, as somebody that doesn't have a massive attachment to that movie, I prefer that. If you're going to remake something, you've got to switch it up a little bit. You can't do this copy-paste, shot-for-shot type thing. I mean, we've seen that done many times before throughout film history, and it just never really works because those movies don't have a lasting impact. Nobody remembers them. Look back to Rob Zombie's Halloween. A lot of people hated that movie, but they remember it because tonally it was very different. And I think that if you're going to swing like that, you have to swing for the fences when you're doing a remake. Now, also, I understand that the whole Brandon Lee thing clouds all of this. His performance in that movie and obviously everything that transpired during. I totally get that. But I will never be somebody that believes that one person specifically owns a character. It's kind of like Heath Ledger and the Joker. I think when they did Suicide Squad, there was a ton of backlash for Jared Leto, and that was just because the look wasn't great, but also people were like, really? We're going to get a new Joker? You can't top Heath Ledger. And then Joaquin Phoenix comes around, and most people agree he did a great job. I think the same thing with Michael Myers. I don't think Nick Castle is Michael Myers. I think that anybody can be these characters. I think it's all about the actor. I think it's about what they bring to the role. I don't think anybody owns that character ever in any series. And, so I don't think that recasting this, obviously, because you have to, and giving it to somebody else is at all disrespectful to what came before. That legacy is there, and Brandon Lee was great in that role, and unfortunately he is gone. And if they're going to do a new Crow movie, there has to be a new Draven. There just has to be. And they chose an actor that I think is a really good actor. And I think he's going to bring a lot to this role. And I also don't think that, again, they're trying to give you the same thing that they gave you with the original. It looks and feels a little bit different. And I'm actually cautiously optimistic for that. Because I want these movies to stand apart. I don't want them to be like, oh, do you want the light version or the full-bodied version? No, I want them to stand apart. I want them to be complete tonal opposites at times. Not entirely, but at times. I really want there to be things that stand out. I also think that to the argument that happens online anytime there's a remake about a property at all that is super popular with a lot of people, that they are tarnishing the original, that they are ruining the original, that it is spitting in the face of the classic that came before it. Not only do I think that is a stupid, asinine argument that holds absolutely no water, I just think it's factually incorrect. I don't even think it's arguable. It is not correct. The original film is always going to be there, no matter what remake you're talking about. A remake's never going to take that away from that original. That original exists. Obviously, these new movies are not canon to those original films, so it's not messing with the legacy whatsoever. It's a new take by new people wanting to kind of put their stamp on a classic property. That's really all it is. And I've felt that way about any remake. Some of them are successful and some of them aren't. Some of them are more successful and some of them are on par. I mean, they range from absolutely terrible to sometimes great, but no matter where they fall on that spectrum, they don't take away at all from that original film. And no amount of arguing in the comments or on social media is going to change that fact. That movie still exists. If you love it, hold it near and dear to your heart and love it forever. It's never going anywhere. And the last point I want to touch on is just The Crow as a series in general. Obviously, after Brandon Lee passed, I don't think really anybody was open-minded to City of Angels. Absolutely not. And then I think as the later sequels came, people revisited City of Angels. And they said, you know what? It's not that bad. It's nowhere near as good as the first one, but it's not that bad. And then obviously, 3 and 4 are just god-awful. I've seen both of them one time. I'm sure there are some people that are like, oh, I have dumb fun with that. I was just not a fan at all. So the point I'm making with that is this is probably destined to be the second best Crow film. I mean, I feel like a lot of us can agree on that. Some of you might take City of Angels, but like I feel like it's probably destined to be the second best. And if we can go back and give kind of revisionist history and make excuses and say, you know what, that one's not that bad, then I don't understand why we can't be open minded to give this movie a fair shot. If you end up hating this movie, more power to you. If you have your reasons for hating it, I totally get it. I'm never going to try to change anybody's mind about that. If you love this movie, more power to you. If you're middle of the road, again, same thing. But I just ask that you reserve judgment until you see these things. I mean, I don't know why this has just been this trendy thing for the past couple years, really, of just we see a still or we see a quick scene and we go, this is going to be terrible. When did we lose the ability for critical thinking? When did we lose the ability to form our own opinions based off of, I don't know, our experiences, things that we actually see, giving something the chance to, it's like a debate. You can't have any healthy debate if you're not willing to hear the other side. And I just don't think that writing something off because you just don't agree with it in principle because of some feelings you may have, I just don't think that's fair to anything, whether it be a song, a movie, a TV show, whatever it is. I mean, I feel like the right thing to do is to give everything a fair chance. And so I guess the reason I wanted to make this video is because I myself was actually really surprised that I'm looking forward to The Crow. I did not expect that I would be looking forward to this movie at all, even though I'm a big Skarsgård fan. I didn't even think he was going to be able to get me in, to the theater. And then I see this trailer and I say, you know what? I'm going to be there. As I've been putting this when I've been talking to people, it looks like emo John Wick. And like, I'm totally on board for that, because if this movie does nothing but entertain me for 2 hours and give me some incredible kills, fight choreography and beautiful visuals, it's worth the price of admission. I've paid for far less entertaining movies, as we all have. So at the end of the day, no matter how this movie ends up shaking out for you, I would just ask that you guys, I don't know, just let's give these things a shot, or let's just at least try to be open-minded. And if you're going into something probably already destined to be the second best movie in the series, you've done something right, I would say. So, and this movie's done something right by at least getting people talking like they have been. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. I'm sure the comment section is going to be quite mixed, and I can't wait to hear from you. So let me know down below. Sound off. Do you hate it? Do you love it? Are you open-minded? Are you indifferent? Let's discuss it all down in the comment section. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and this is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I am pulling out.